Hey everyone, I'm glad you could join me this evening for this training. We're gonna have a pretty awesome training, and thanks for taking the time out of your day to join us. We're gonna be talking about wholesaling, and this is gonna be part 3. So this is kind of end our wholesaling streak here, but just wanted to let everybody know that we do have a lot of new people on. My name is Chris Goff, and I've been investing in real estate since 1999. Done a lot. Become an expert in 5 strategies, including wholesaling, lease options. I know over 30 seller financing techniques, and the rehab, fix, and flip business. I currently have done over 500 deals. I'm a 2-time best-selling author. I've been on ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, the USA Today. Worked for Donald Trump, been interviewed by the legendary Brian Tracy. I've got a documentary movie coming out this summer. It's like, wow. It's kind of hard to get all that out. And it's funny when people ask, what do I do for a living? I just keep it simple. I just buy real estate. That's all I do. So enough about me. Now, tonight is going to conclude our 3-part series on wholesaling. This is where I'm going to teach you how to find buyers in step 7, fill out contract in step 8, and go to closing step 9. And the best step of them all, how do you actually get paid doing this business? So that's kind of the end goal here. What I want to do is kind of recap just real quickly what we talked about in part 2, which was offers, contract with the seller, and exit strategies or file the affidavit, which is basically going to protect you. Wholesaling is a cash offer. We talked about how we have a formula inside of REI Pro. If you just follow that particular formula, you're going to come out with a great offer. Not only do we put some room for error in that particular formula, it's a number that we're going to have to be out to be profitable and to be able to sell the property fast. Again, it's not just about acquiring the property, it's getting rid of it and getting paid. And then we actually went through a contract, which I did email all of our REI Pro users. So hopefully everybody got that. If you didn't, don't hesitate, just shoot us an email. Be happy to get that out to you. Again, just for our REI Pro users or anybody that's in a 30-day free trial, we'll get that contract out to you. And then following the affidavit, it's kind of a neat little tool, and I kind of learned it through making a mistake by not knowing how to protect myself from a seller going around your back. So tonight, we're going to be talking about how do you market for that buyer? How do we get that investor, that landlord, that buyer that's going to come in and actually acquire the property? How do we fill out a contract? How do we go to closing? I'm going to teach you 2 different ways on how we do that. And then, again, how we get paid, which is always the fun part of the whole presentation. Now, last night we talked about, and this is going to be in part 2, we've put a property into REI Pro. We determined how to get the comps. So our ARV came out to 203. Again, I'm getting to the penny here, but I'll probably, as we move along, just round off numbers here. Repairs, we said were 30, and then we basically filled out this formula where our offer price was 111. Again, you would want to start a little bit less than that. Now the question is, what do we actually sell this for? Now, again, we look at our wholesaler's profit. We put in $6,000. Of course, we'd like to make as much as possible. We also have to put in there the retailer's profit. So don't go too low on this, because obviously if you do, then it's going to be hard to find a buyer that can see actual profit in this deal. So in order to, and how you determine how we're going to set the sales price for the new buyer is pretty simple. Whatever you have it under contract for, you would then add in your wholesaler's profit. So if we look to the right here, if our contract with the sellers for $111,000, we would then add our wholesaling profit of $6,000, advertising price $117. Now, do we want to start there? And that's something, you need to leave some negotiation. Could I have an investor that says, hey, Chris, how much do you have it under contract for? How much are you looking to make? Absolutely, that's going to happen. If I'm going to make a lot of money, I'm not going to disclose that information. I'm going to show you how we do that through a double close. and kind of what my general rule of thumb is on how much you should make before you actually do a double close versus just doing an assignment, which is very, very the easiest way to do it. So start above, and we might set that advertising price at 120. Okay, so we're going to be walking through this deal. Again, if you haven't seen part 2 or part 1, you can do that now. We will temporarily have them on my YouTube channel for you to do that. Other than that, all of our REI Pro subscribers will have access to these training videos. All right, so step 7 general, that I'm going to get real specific on, and I'm actually going to give you some ads. I'm actually going to give you one ad that works. Okay, so I don't want to give you a bunch of other crap. I'm just going to give you the ad that actually works. So our goal is always to find buyers. Now I know from a beginner, the point of view, I think when we come into real estate is that this is probably the hardest part, and actually it's the easiest part. What we need to look at are the sellers in general, and I'm speaking across the board. I know there's some areas and some investors where you have sellers and you're finding buyers, but in general, across the board, sellers is really the key to the business. But we want to keep advertising. We want to get our face out there. We want to let people know what we do so we can build this list of buyers. And don't think that your buyers are just local. So there are a lot of investors that love specific areas of the country and they invest there. And I can tell you, I get a question a lot, where's the best place in the country to invest? And I answer the same way, wherever there's houses, because it's not really, everything comes down to the situation and how we structure numbers. That's it. And I can find good deals everywhere. I can find bad deals everywhere. It's just a matter of the situation of the seller. So every area is a great place to invest, and it really doesn't matter about the size of the area either. I've got some students that are in some really, really small places, and it's all about, there are houses there, people live there. I should be able to find a seller. I should be able to find a buyer. And that's everywhere. So we want to start building this list of buyers, but I want to kind of break it up a little bit. So cash buyers, meaning that someone that pays cash, they're not putting mortgages on property. We can actually access those through REI Pro or Lead Pro here. Investors is somebody that is generally, you set up a business entity. So it's usually an LLC or an S corporation or a variation or a C corp or something like that, where we actually pull that list as well. We have what's called landlords, and these are people that invest into real estate. Qualified buyers, non-qualified buyers, and no buyers, a little bit different strategy. Qualified buyers generally don't buy distressed properties, number one, because they don't have the spendable income to actually fix them up. Non-qualified buyers don't have the cash or the credit to do that. And remember, wholesaling, we are giving the seller one lump sum. So non-qualified buyers need to buy on terms. That would be more of a lease option or seller finance situation. And note buyers are actually seller financing strategy as well. So just want to share with you the differences in the types of buyers that we are looking for as wholesalers to sell these properties to. I wanted to really hit this point hard because this is what really is missing out there. Again, I could spend an entire 2 days just teaching you the marketing side of the business. The marketing side is at least 50%, if not more, should be part of your business. So we really need to understand the marketing aspect of your business. Now, every area is a little bit different in how people react. I usually make fun of the handwritten "We Buy Houses" signs out there. I want to come across a little bit more professional. I don't mind using the term "We Buy Houses." I just want to put it in a more professional atmosphere. I think that's what represents you. And you got to think about it. You have a handwritten sign and a seller drives by, and does it work? Sure, it works. And the question is, what have you compared yourself to? But you got to think about a seller's point of view here. If you can't afford a sign, how are you going to buy my house? I mean, we have to think of these things because although I want to do multiple deals. I just don't want to do one or two here. It's very, very hard to find somebody that gets into wholesaling that actually does multiple deals per month. If you have to follow the right systems, you have to have the right marketing. And this one point of marketing, if I could teach you anything about marketing, it's called benefits. We actually became a best-selling author because of this marketing formula. It's all about the key benefits. You think about, what do traditional realtors or real estate agents, they talk about features. It's got granite countertops, fenced-in backyards, the 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Nobody gets excited about that. You have to tell people what are the benefits. And even this goes back to, what about if you're on the phone with a potential investor? Do you just blurt out all the features of a property? No, you want to tell them the key benefits of that. So I'm giving you some just examples here of language that you can use in your marketing. A business card, a flyer, whatever it may be, a yard sign, doesn't matter. I'm just giving you some key phrases here and to use in your business, because you have to understand that the benefit is really what sells people. And you guys know this, people usually buy on emotion. So if we get emotionally involved, we're going to probably buy. And that's what we have to have everybody. You have to get people emotionally involved in what you do. And I see a lot of people, they get started, the first thing they do is they get some business cards, and they're so scared to pass them out. They're so scared to tell people what they do, or they're scared that they really don't know the business well enough. They're scared that someone's going to ask a question they may not understand or may not be able to answer. So I'm giving you a little bit of time to write this down. Again, you can go back. One of the big things that we do provide this in REI Pro is professional looking postcards. I want to hit somebody at the mailbox. I want to be able to send this to a cash buyer, an investor, or landlord. And these are just our cash buyer postcard fronts, not the backs, but just the front. I want to hit you at your mailbox. Everybody is competing in the letter business. So when I call a seller, they already have 30 different versions of the exact same letter. I want to hit somebody at the mailbox. And for that split second, that split moment of time, if it catches their eye, they're actually going to pay attention to it. They're going to forget about what they're going to do this evening, or what's going to happen tomorrow, or they forgot to get the milk, whatever it may be. At least for that split moment of time, they're going to pay attention to it because it grabs their attention. Everybody knows what junk mail looks like, right? So you just kind of sort that over the trash can. Do you really have time? And what people do, and it's quite funny to me, but what people do is, oh my gosh, that letter didn't work. Let's try a yellow letter. Well, that didn't work. Let's try a handwritten letter. Well, that didn't work. Let's try a different color envelope. Everybody's trying to compete with the same problem. And it's kind of funny to me, because you have to really focus on who you are as a brand. You have to come across as that professional. This is a very big business, but unfortunately, it's a big business for very few. And I want to give you the proper education, the tools, the executable steps, so you can make it a big business. And I'm telling you, you're going to have to look at the way that you market your business. We have to generate the buyers. Without the seller, we can't have the buyer. Without the buyer, we don't have a seller. So now this is what you typically see. And I think Craigslist is still a good place. What I love about Craigslist, there's a lot on there. What I hate about Craigslist, there's a lot on there, right? So this is kind of your typical ad. Actually, this might even be a little bit better than a normal ad. So one of the big headlines that I think investors use or wholesalers use, handyman specials, something like that. So I have profitable real estate deals. I'm looking to find investors wanting to purchase these great deals. Most properties need little work, have high cash flow, call this number, blah, blah, blah. Or you could send them to a website maybe to learn a little bit more. But I want you to remember one thing. Remember, people buy on emotion. Are you emotionally involved when you see or read this particular ad? I mean, are you so excited that you're just going to pick up the phone? Probably not, right? So we have to really kind of look at the way that we market this. And I want you to become better marketing and just even talking about it. We should do a training on just marketing. So maybe we'll do that here in the near future, because this is going to be real key to your business. What I want to do is I want to do a better than normal. So the headline here is Save Time, Build Wealth in Real Estate. This is going to, number one, grab your attention. No matter if you're even looking to purchase properties, you may want to get into real estate, can learn a little bit more about you. Maybe you have your website, you do other things. Maybe you're looking for other bird dogs. There's a lot of neat things. You can grab a lot of people's attention with a headline like this. Are you an investor looking to purchase profitable real estate deals without spending countless hours locating them, researching them, dealing with property owners, or maybe you just don't have the time? Again, what I like about this first sentence is, number one, we're posing a question. So people like questions. They don't want blanket statements. And number two, we're giving them all the pains. This is why you need me. You don't want to spend countless hours, do you, finding the deals? You don't have time to research them. You probably aren't even very good at talking with owners. You need me. And that's really what we're saying here. My name is blank. I'm a local investor, locates, negotiates, and passes great deals on to people like you. If you're looking to save time, build wealth through real estate without headaches, please call today. Phone number here, list of current properties before they run out. Again, a better than normal ad. I would totally advise you. This is the one that you want to use right here. I'm actually just giving it to you. Now, could you change this up a little bit? Sure. But at the end of the day, marketing is about testing. You have to try different things. And I would never be the one to say that this is kind of a one shoe fits all approach and it works for everybody. Do I like the way it reads? Yes. If I'm a experienced investor and I'm looking to purchase deals, my first thought is that you're somewhat educated. You have great ad writing capabilities. That's probably the kind of person that I want to work with. So use this type of ad, and hopefully you're getting some of the points. And I know when we go into marketing in a future training, you're going to be able to really pick up and become an expert in how to write ads. It's not just about ads, is it? I mean, really, what do you have on your business card? I couldn't tell you. All the live events, I always ask people, who would volunteer to pass forward their business card, and I would critique it in front of the class. And I couldn't tell you how many times, if you just have your business card or think about your business card, there's one question that I see is more common problem out there is, what do you do? If I go to you and see your business card, I want to know what you do. And so many times we put a color scheme that you think looks good. You put maybe a generic logo on there, and it's your name and your contact information. Now, we feel that that comes across professional, but the problem is that no one knows what you do. And that's where it's not, if I meet somebody at a real estate investment club and I handshake them, they know what I do there, but are they actually going to remember tomorrow? They probably have met 10 other people. They took the cards and now they can't remember. How do you stick out? And that's how I want you to look at it. So come across a little bit more professional in your ad writing. And I think you're going to get a lot better results, and you're going to build that list. And how many investors do you really need if you don't have any deals? That's kind of the point. Obviously, the deals are very important too. So where do we actually market the business? Where do we go find these people? Obviously, the internet. I'm going to keep it very general. Craigslist, I think, is still a really good place for this. Again, your website. You should always, and number one, you should have a website, but you should be promoting your business through the website and everything that you do, not just finding buyers or investors for your properties. Yard signs, a lot of people still use those. Obviously, you need to be careful with yard signs. You're going to need a solicitor's license. You need to check local laws, things like that. Social media is pretty big. Right now, Facebook is what all the experts are pretty much telling us is Facebook marketing. We see pretty good results with Facebook marketing. It's just an idea. Of course, you have Google AdWords, and of course, we have an expert of that on board with us. And I think it's a combination, but you gotta, just like any marketing, you gotta get out there and try it, test it in your area. If it doesn't work, move on to the next thing. Print, newspaper ad. And what I would recommend here, which I like, are those small community newspapers. That one paper that you get for free, like on a Wednesday. It's that one local paper. Big papers kind of get washed up, plus they're very expensive. Investment clubs. Now, investment clubs are the perfect place to network. Tell people what you do. You need to have what we call that elevator speech, right? So you need to be able to tell somebody what you do in 30 seconds. And I want you to craft that by using what I call benefits. Use benefits. And if we go back to that ad, that's a perfect setup. So that ad is not just for putting on a Craigslist ad. It's also how you communicate with people in person. Business cards, real estate agents, tell all your, real estate agents, and a lot of you are real estate agents, but if you're not a real estate agent, go tell the agents that you work with what you do and elaborate on that, because you want them to, hey, I just talked to a seller, we're going to list the property, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people don't think you can wholesale with agents, and that's just not true. Obviously, the contracts have specific clauses we would need to have removed, but everybody can really benefit from that. And direct mail, and there's a lot of other ways to market your business, but in reality, how many places can you actually market at one time? It would be very difficult for most people to actually market even just all of these. So direct mail is really what I hit as the masses. The internet obviously is where everyone goes for no matter what it is. I mean, people won't even get off their couch until they learn more about it on the internet. And we want to drive obviously traffic back to that website there. So here's just a few things. We use the internet a lot. We use our website. We use direct mail. That's going to be our biggest way of advertising, in case you wanted to know. So now that we have these ads out there where people call, I'm going to share with you, I'm going to get inside REI Pro, and actually, we have some hardcore questions that we need answers to. I'm going to share with you in REI Pro, we have all those questions listed out for you. Build your buyers list without leads, with or without leads. And, it's always a good idea to always build your list. I don't think your list gets too old when you're a wholesaler. I think when I show interest in purchasing property, I might have specific areas that I just focus in, or maybe I only buy a 3-bedroom house or larger, but you should always build these no matter if you have leads or not. Now, when I got started, we were always told, if you go find a deal, you're not going to have a problem finding a buyer. And that's always been true. I think when people buy the house wrong is when we run into problems with finding buyers. And answer the phone, guys. If you put your phone number out there, answer the phone. People hate when it goes to voicemail. They may just call someone else. They may call, there's obviously other people out there. But I think with your ad standing out, we need to come in a more professional way, and how we wrote the ad. You need to talk to people. You could send details, special reports. One of the things we have in our home study course, the investor special report, along with other strategies. And you can develop this report or you can put it on your website. So have people get more interested with what you have to do by giving them more information. But you have to answer the phone. You have to follow up with people. And when I find somebody, if I have a property already under contract, I always have them drive by the property first. So people call, hey, Steve, why don't you go drive by, take a look, see if you're interested. Give me a call. Hey, Mike, drive by the property, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of times you could always have the investor show up at the same time. So if I say, hey, I'm going to show the property at this time, if you're interested, it's 1 o'clock Saturday is when I'm showing the time. Well, I want to see it before. Well, I'm showing it at 1 o'clock. Next person, I'm showing it at 1 o'clock. Next thing you know, we're creating competition at the property, other investors. It's kind of like being at an auction. That's what we want, right? So we want to maximize our time and money. Then we move into the contract. We find a buyer that's interested. There's probably going to be some negotiations that's going to take place, and there's really going to be 2 ways. So I want to get through this part, and I think this is going to answer a lot. So there's basically 2 types of, I'm going to just say, contracts. So the first one is an assignment of contract, and I'm going to tell you what it is here. Both of these. The positive is no closing costs for you. Because you're assigning your interest, basically the contract. You're not really selling the house. So Those of you that are just getting involved in real estate with wholesaling, you're not actually selling the house, you're selling the piece of paper. The negative is the new buyer will know how much you are making because they're going to see the purchase price and the original agreement. If we're going to make some money, we do what's called a double close. So the positive is the new buyer will not know how much you're making, but the downside is there's going to be closing costs because the name of it is double close, there's actually going to be 2 closings. So let's start with an assignment of contract that I'm actually going to show you how to fill one out. So assigning the contract is nothing more than just passing the original agreement that you have with the seller to another buyer. So assigning your right to another buyer, of course, you're going to request a fee. We call this an assignment fee. So as you can see in the graphics here, there you in the middle kissing the money, you have the motivated seller, and then you have the new investor that's actually going to acquire the property. Now, do we care really what they do? Not really. We just want you to buy the house. So the investor is going to buy the house at a wholesale price. So you're getting it at a deep discount, and you're going to sell it for a little bit more than what you have it for. And then the investor is going to cash everybody out, fix it up, rent it, do whatever they want with it, sell it, and so forth. So assignment of contract is actually the easiest way to do deals. The downside is if I'm going to make $30,000 on a deal, do I want my investor to see that I'm making $30,000 no matter if he's going to make money or not? I think it's a perception that, hey, you're going to make 30 grand on me? No, I don't think so. It's one of those perceptions that it would be very hard to do an assignment. That's where we'd move into a double close. So an assignment of contract is so simple. So I find the buyer, and this is generally the conversation that will happen. If I know that I can make just a little bit of money here, then I'm just going to do an assignment of contract. It's okay if you make money. Trust me, the investor doesn't have the time to find the deals. Hardly any of them are really good at negotiation. I mean, they don't have the time to do that. It's okay if you make some money. That's saving them time. They can buy more deals. It's not really their business model. Their business model is to buy them low, fix them up, resell them, buy them low, hold on to them, whatever their business model is. It's a little bit different than yours. So an assignment of contract is real easy. So you have the purchase agreement with the seller, and now you print up this piece of paper called assignment of contract. So effective the 25th day of May 2016, it's mutually agreed for this assignment contract to purchase. I'm just going to use 123 Happy Street because I like the name of it. Further described, and again, this would be the legal description, property identification, lot block. It's going to be something crazy in some areas. From Chris Goff, where again, your company name to whoever the new investor or their company name is hereby made. For this assignment, it is mutually agreed that Chris Goff, me, will receive $6,000 at the time of closing. And then basically this paragraph sums it all up. Signee agrees to perform all covenants, conditions, obligations required by a signer under said agreement, agrees to defend, identify, hold the signer harmless from any liability or obligation under said agreement. Assignee further agrees to hold the signer harmless from any deficiency or defect in the legality, and so forth. So basically what's happening here is you have a contract to purchase with the seller. They're taking over exactly what you agreed with the seller. So again, they have to see the contract in order to agree to it. I guess some investors may not, but I would. I'm not going to invest in a property that I haven't actually seen the actual agreement. Now, the bottom half of this is nothing more. I had to put on a separate slide here. Is nothing more than the date. You're going to sign Chris Goff. You're the manager of ABC Real Estate Solutions, LLC. Again, we talked about in part 2, if you're just getting started, you don't have a business entity set up, it's okay. Go make some money first, and then you can get that set up. Just put it in your name. You would be the assigner. The new buyer would be the assignee. So this is a very simple process. Now we basically have 2 pieces of paper. We have the original agreement that we signed as the buyer with the seller, and then we have an assignment of contract where we're signing this contract over to the new buyer. They're going to take over that original agreement. They'll eventually go to closing, sign the paperwork, and then close the deal, bring the money, everybody gets paid. So that's going to be the easiest way. I would say that probably the majority of your wholesale deals will go this way unless you just find a great deal every single time. Then we move into the double close. So let's say you're going to make a lot of money. You found a really good deal. You have it at a really good price, and you just are going to make a lot of money on it. Do we really want the new buyer to see what you're making? Again, I think it's that perception. So what's going to happen here? This is easy too, but we have our original agreement as the buyer with the seller. Then we're actually going to print up a separate agreement, just like we did, and we're going to sign that as the seller. Now that sounds kind of crazy that you have two agreements, one as the buyer, one as the seller, and you don't even own it. That is correct. This is what wholesaling is all about. Now, again, some title companies are not going to do double closings though. I rarely go to a title company and do a double close. That was back in the day, okay? Normal double closings I prefer are going to go through a real estate attorney. They understand exactly what's going on, and it's going to be two separate closings. So I may walk into the closing with the seller, sign off as the buyer, then 5 minutes later walk into another room with the new buyer as the seller. I'm going to sign off that way. At the end of the day, the title company or the attorney is not going to close the transaction until a few things have been done. Number one, you have to have all the appropriate documents signed with the seller. You have to have all the appropriate documents signed with the buyer, and the money needs to be coming from the new buyer and sitting at the title company. Once all of those things happen, it then will officially close. You basically have owned the property for 5 minutes and it's moved on. Okay, so that's where a double close really comes into effect. I would advise getting with a real estate attorney to do this. Okay, like I said, it's not going to probably be the majority of wholesale transactions you're going to do for most people. Okay, so here's my general rule. If you're going to make more than $15,000, I would do a double close. Now, keep in mind, an assignment of contract, you don't even have to go to closing, because the buyer's taking over your original agreement. They sign with the seller. You're going to get a flat fee check, whatever you agree to in the assignment of contract. In this particular case, it's $6,000. So after into closing, once all the money is there, the title company or attorney would then issue a check to Chris Goff for $6,000. Doing a double close, although we're going to make more money, we're also going to lose a little bit out of this because of the double close. So we're going to have to pay closing costs. Now, do I care if I pay closing costs if I'm going to make more money? No, because I don't want to jeopardize not finding the buyer and making that kind of money, where, again, it's a perception issue. So this is just a general rule. It's going to be a little bit different. You know, if you're in California and the houses you deal with are in the 800,000 range, you know, 15,000 really isn't that big of a deal. But in most areas, it's probably going to be around this number. So play it by ear. And trust me, you'll know when that first investor goes, I'm not paying you 15 grand. Are you kidding me? You're not going to make that much money off of me. It doesn't matter how much they're going to make. It's just the point of you making more money. So here we go with a double close. Now, if you guys remember in part 2, we went through this contract. This is the exact contract. It's also the one that I emailed all of our REI Pro users, okay? What I want to share with you is where the difference is. There's not that many differences in here, okay? So I'm not going to make 6 grand. Let's say that I'm going to make 15 grand on this property because we got a good deal. Again, the parties, you would put your name in as the seller because you already have it under contract as the buyer with the seller. Now I'm printing up a new agreement, you as the seller finding a new buyer. The buyer would then sign. You'd put the address, date, legal description, same as always. Purchase price obviously is going to be a lot different than the purchase price you have with the seller. That's the difference in profit. But this is where it's going to change. So the conditions of purchase are as follows. A buyer will deposit blank with blank title company, or it could be an attorney here. Remember, with the seller, we want to put down as least amount as possible. I've never personally put up more than $500 on any wholesale deal, okay? Now, if we're going to sell this in a double close, wouldn't we want as much as possible? Exactly. So we want at least $1,000, $2,500, again, depending on the purchase price. but we want as much as possible from the new buyer. We don't want them to feel that they could easily back out, or they don't have much to lose if they did back out. We want them to purchase this property because remember, with the seller, we have a time frame. So if it's that 60, 90-day window, we have a specific amount of time to actually close it. We need a serious buyer. We don't need to be working with wish-washy people. Now, B, this was your out clause with the seller. Do you want to have this out clause with the new buyer? No way, right? So you don't want them to just back out all the way up to the date of closing. You would end up losing the deal. You wouldn't have time to go out and find a new buyer. So in this particular case, I would remove that sentence, and you could supplement that sentence with just simply saying the property is being sold as is. Okay, so buyer may place appropriate sign on the property. I would eliminate that. Seller agrees to allow buyer to show property. You could just eliminate that. We put that in for the seller just to disclose. I think the more you disclose, the better off you are. Is there an addendum to the contract? Well, if there wasn't an addendum with the seller, most likely there's no addendum with the new buyer. Is this transaction all cash or terms? Again, it will be all cash. And again, what I mean by all cash is that you're going to pay in one lump sum. I don't care if it's the bank's cash, your cash, and investor's cash. I'm just getting paid in one lump sum. 6, the same. Seller agrees to pay all taxes would be the same. Closing costs shall be paid by who? Again, another negotiable item here, but if you start, if you agree to pay all the closing, then you're going to get all the closing in this closing with the new buyer. But if you said split with the seller, so you're going to pay half the closing costs with the seller, but you're going to pay the full closing costs. But sometimes that's not a big deal, depending again how much money you're making. So this would be a negotiable. Now, number 9 is pretty important. So the closing date shall be on or before. So if we've allowed ourselves 60 to 90 days with the seller, when do we want to close with the new buyer? As soon as possible. So, and obviously before that time frame that you have with the seller. So make sure that you give yourself enough time to close this transaction, because there could be some problems. Maybe there's a title issue. Keep in mind, you don't want to have to go back to the seller to extend the agreement to go to the new buyer and extend their agreement. It just causes more chaos. Make sure you leave yourself enough time. And if you have a great deal, it shouldn't take you very long to close anyways. Offers to remain open for acceptance. Number 11, I want you to, are you accepting this offer now? I don't want to necessarily give them a week to think about it. If not, I'll go find another investor to take over this deal. You would then sign as the seller. I know that sounds funny. And the buyer would sign as the purchaser. Now we have 2 separate agreements. And this is where closing happens. So depending if you're doing an assignment of contract or if you're doing a double close, we need to take those agreements to either, or we need to take them to a real estate attorney. They're pretty much going to handle the process. They're going to do a title search. They're going to make sure everything's good. They'll communicate between you, the buyer, the seller. When is closing, the time, how much money the buyer's going to have to bring, all the HUD ones, all that stuff, really, they're going to take care of. Your job at this point is to follow up with them to make sure everything is going okay. That's really about it. That moves us into, we actually close on the property, and of course, the best step of them all, you finally get paid through this process. If we go back and actually look at those executable steps from finding the deal to contacting the owner to a property inspection, an offer, we then signed a contract with the seller, we filed the affidavit, we then found a new buyer, signed a contract with the new buyer, we go to closing, and then it's payday. And this is a system that you're going to duplicate over and over and over again. Now, here's the thing, with wholesaling, it's such a great strategy. It's probably one of the easiest strategies to get started with if you're just getting started. But, one thing you do have to keep in mind, and it's the same thing with retailing. Once you close this transaction, guess what? You're unemployed again. You have to go find another deal. So don't think that you're going to get relaxed, and this money is going to last forever. If you're building a business out of it, you need to constantly have this going on all the time. You have to constantly be out there. And I know some people just getting started, Chris, if I just made an extra $5,000 a month, that would change my life. I said the exact same thing until I started making $5,000 a month. Then I'm like, oh no, I got to make more than this. I don't even know how people live without making less than 100,000. I mean, your whole perspective will change, and you just got to get that deal done. But keeping it constant, have that right marketing out there, constantly be out in the marketplace to keep this. And then basically, it's like a snowball. It's just going to keep growing and growing. So one thing I want to do is now get into REI Pro so I can explain it a little bit better for you guys that are on here. Those of you that have no idea what I'm talking about, REI Pro is our software. We own it, and it's something we have taken years to put together. It's just such a phenomenal tool. We're not going to be going in all the benefits of REI Pro because most of you on here are already in REI Pro, but those of you that are new, we do offer a 30-day free trial in there. So let me switch over real quick, and we will go through REI Pro. Let me move this out. All right. Now where I'm going to is the dashboard starting off here. Obviously, you've already logged in. And let me exit out of this real quick. Hold on one second. There we go. So here I'm at the dashboard again. You're not going to see some of these icons up here. So one of the places that, where do we find buyers is going to be Lead Pro. But what I want you to do, I'm going to go back to the property that I was using in part 2 here. And we ended on step 6. Now, step 7, now that we filed the affidavit, we're then going to find a buyer. One really cool thing that we implemented, we have a brilliant copywriter. She's one of the best. I think almost every major realty company has tried to employ her services. And we try to pick her brain and put it in the software, which is very difficult to do, by the way. And one of the things that we wanted to do is her ad writing capability was so brilliant that we really wanted to share this with our REI Pro users. So we look at what type of buyer we want here. In this particular case, we're going to wholesale it, so it's just an investor. So we have a ad writer inside here that's going to be really an awesome feature for those of you that just really don't know how to write a good ad. So the first thing we do is choose a headline. So if I went Handyman Special, you're going to see that go in here. You can also type in here as well. But we want to make this simple. So then we do a drop down and type a home. Again, we need to fill this out. Some of your the tax assessors out there don't publish some of the bedrooms and baths. If you run into where you don't see it's because of your tax assessor, not us. We're just mirroring what they do. Single property home, select repairs. We would go in here and maybe say it needs updating. And again, you can type in this box whatever you like. And then a drop down is or will be ready. Let's just say will be. And then we're going to choose some features, maybe a desirable, and the location. I'm just going to put Peachtree City. And the area is currently leased or would rent for. This again would apply to a potential exit strategy for your investor. We'll say $1,800 a month. Now, when we do that, again, it's a short version here. What's going to happen is you go up to the save and print ad. And then we're going to download that report. I'm going to show you what it actually looks like all written out. So we have the property ads. Here's the address. Again, it wasn't in Peachtree, but just as an example here, I want you to get the ad part of it. Handyman Special, if you're looking, if you're in the market for a great investment property, take a look at this 3-bedroom, 2-bath, single-family home. Property needs updating and will be ready to make you a nice financial return. It's located in Peachtree City. Desirable area, would rent for $1,800 a month. Hurry, call, and learn more about this great money-making property. If you have a difficult time writing ads, this is going to be a great way for you to start building that. And what I could do is then copy this ad, put it into Craigslist. I could also create a flyer out of it. There's a lot of things that you could do with this. All right, we're going to close that up. Now, if you already have a current list of buyers, so I'm going to show you how to get into buyers here. There's a tab here called potential buyers. So if I have a property like this property I have under contract, I'm then going to filter my particular buyers by investors. I could then hit select all. I could then email all the selected buyers this particular email about this particular property. Again, you can go in and edit this email as well. So I'm going to quickly let all of my buyers know about this one particular property without even actually placing an ad out. So again, your job is to continually build that list of buyers, and I'm going to show you how to do that in REI Pro. So what you want to do is click on buyers, and then you're going to create a new buyer here. So again, some of this is for you to keep track of, but what type of investor, how did you hear about us? And then we're going to go through some basic contact information here. As we scroll down, you're really going to go to the investor specific questions. What do you do? What are you looking for? And then type that in there. How quickly can you close if we find a property that, meets your criteria? And again, you want to hear as quickly as possible. Is there a maximum number of rehabs that you do per year? And find out what level, of rehab are you interested in? Are you looking for something that just needs lipstick, or are you capable of doing something that needs a complete overhaul? And what price range are you looking to purchase in? And are you interested in rentals? You really want to keep this very short and sweet, and you can elaborate. Don't be afraid to elaborate. These are just very bullet pointed questions. These are the hardcore questions I need to have answers to in order to work with you, find a property, and so forth. So basic questions, we're then going to go back up to the top. We're going to hit Save Buyer. So here we've taken an ad, we've put in Craigslist, they've called, we're going to fill this out. Or maybe we use direct mail to do this as well. So what I'm going to do is show you another way to build your buyers list very quickly. You just go into Lead Pros. Not only does it have properties in here, it also has cash buyers, investors, and also has landlords. So as an example, if I go to cash buyers, these are people that pay cash, they don't put mortgages on properties. I'm going to go in here and what kind of property you're looking for. You can have different types of property, and this is what would be common that they purchase. That's what that means. I would probably go 2 years. And then what state? Tonight I'm going to go to Texas, and I'm going to pick Harris County, which is in Houston. Again, you can pick multiple counties, you can pick multiple cities, or pinpoint your cities. You can filter this down as much as possible. And I'm going to show you why you would want to filter this down, because there are 29,000 of them. So what I want to do is probably narrow this down a little bit more. You could do that by properties that they bought possibly. Here's a property for $351,000 versus a $60,000 property. And I'm going to show you how to quickly put this in a direct mail campaign. This would apply for any of the lead sources. I'm just going to take, if you scroll down to the bottom here, you can show up to 1,000 per page. Again, if you send 1,000 postcards to investors, get ready for the phone to ring. Okay, so you might want to start off with a little bit smaller number. We're going to start with 200, and we're going to scroll to the top here, and I'm going to just select all of these. And this is going to be my cash buyer list, and I'm just going to put Harris. And this is really up to you what you want to name it, just for you. It's just for your purpose. Then I'm going to go to direct mail. It's automatically going to take me over there, and you're going to see it's going to be right at the top here. So 200. Now, in order to go, order the postcards, you're going to click the paper airplane icon. So you could do a single mailer, 2 mailers. Just recommend starting with a single mailer at this particular time. And as you can see the prices that we charge for the postage. Everything goes out first class, and every address is checked by the National Change of Address through the United States Postal Service for you automatically. We're going to click Next. And then what we do is we recommend a very specific postcard for that type of buyer. In this case would be a cash buyer. And we then always place general postcards here. The general postcards for types of buyers are not really going to be relevant for you. We just put general postcards in every category. So I'm going to find one that I might like, profit load, and we'll just pick this as select. And then you can go to the top or the bottom. We're going to hit Next. What we're going to do is put our phone number. You could put a website. You could also just put an email address. You could basically put anything in these 2 boxes. So if I go in and just put my phone number, what we're going to do is 111-2 222. And then we'll put our website in here, www.group360rei.com. You can hit the refresh and actually show you what it would look like on the postcard. And then you can also have one, have your return address. And if you want us to mail you one, you can click that and then put in the address that you would like for it to be mailed. In this case, I'm going to just hit the next, whoops, copy myself here. So you would hit the next button, then go to the review. You would approve that, and then you would purchase those postcards. What happens on our end, just so you guys know, is soon as you place an order for a postcard, we immediately get that. We then print those postcards. They then get through the cutter, all that good stuff, when we actually hand deliver it to the United States Postal Service, all first class. And what happens is, one thing that I wanted to show you, when you go back to your direct mail, at the very bottom, you're going to see current order activity. So as soon as you place an order, as you can see here, there's one that we did back in February, 5,600. It's going to show the order activity because I want to know what's going on. And I hate when you just place an order with somebody and you have no idea what's going on. You're trying to figure it all out. What's going to happen is, as soon as you place that order, it's going to say pending where it says complete there. And then once we print it, it's going to say printing. And then once we actually mail it, it's going to say basically mailed or complete there. So one of the neat things that you guys have the capability of doing, and the reason why I want to bring this up is because we've had a few questions on this, is that you can actually view this campaign. I probably shouldn't have viewed that one because it's 5,700. It may take a second to actually load that entire campaign. Let me stop that page and actually go to a smaller campaign that won't take quite as long to load. One of the things that you guys can do inside of here is actually track every single postcard on where it was scanned and so forth. And this was an old order, so this is a new update that you guys will see. There'll be a little truck icon right here. And if you click on that, it's actually going to tell you where the last scan was and making sure that it actually got delivered, which is a really cool feature. This particular campaign was before that time, so it's not showing here, but you guys could go in there now. We've added that really cool feature. Now, if you do get people that call, no matter if it's a cash buyer, no matter if it's a homeowner, and they don't want you to send any more mail, you can add that to a do not mail list. And once I add that in here, it's not ever going to show again. So that's how you're going to build a campaign for the direct mail side. I'm going to go back to this property. Step 8 is going to be the same thing. Once we find that investor, we'll then sign a contract. Again, we don't currently provide the contract, but we'll give you a place to upload that. Then we go to closing. And again, because we're in every state across the US, what we're going to do is just give you a Google search. I'm telling you that I would recommend going to a real estate attorney for all your closings. Title company is okay if it's a traditional type. If you're just buying it traditionally, it's a great place to go. But find a local real estate attorney that does closings. That's what I would recommend. In some states, that's all they use is attorneys. And then again, step 10, a very simple, upload your check. Keep track of this stuff. I kept my checks and pictures for years, and throughout the years and the moves that I've had, I've lost track of a lot of it, unfortunately. And I always wish that I could utilize it and go back. It just creates memories. So you can store all that information right back in here. So I think there you have it. We went through all 10 steps in 3 different trainings. Part 2 and tonight's training is actually going to be uploaded back into REI Pro starting next week. I know we're going into a holiday weekend. A lot of people are going to be off. If you want to see the replay immediately, all you have to do is go to my YouTube channel. If you haven't been there, I'll just quickly go there. And we'll have this training video up and live within the matter of probably 30 minutes or so. So as you can see part 1, there's part 2. We'll have part 3 in there in a matter of 30 minutes or so. So you can go back and watch this again. Any questions, anything like that, please email us contact us at myreipro. Those of you that have not registered for REI Pro, get registered now. This is the complete package of software walking you through all the executable steps, all the lead generation that you're going to need, direct mail, and so forth. So we appreciate you guys being here, and have a great holiday weekend. We're going to be posting some new training here shortly, and thanks for joining me. Take care, guys.